Welcome to the Holistic Success Show. I'm Elizabeth Lozano.
And I'm Dr. Robert Puff. Today our guest is an expert on fibromyalgia.
Dr. Puff is going to be talking to us about 3 ways that we can choose to live our life, as well as a good barometer for how your romantic relationship is going.
And a question from you about obsessive cleaning.
Another question is going to be about the many benefits of meditation. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you enjoy the show.
As we live our lives, there really are 3 choices we have as to how we want to interact with the world around us. One is negatively. We see the world as a dark place, as a place where there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of evil, there's a lot of hurt out there. And so what we try to do is protect ourselves. We put up walls, we make sure that people can't hurt us because we don't want to be hurt anymore. Usually we're steeped in pain, there's a lot of pain inside of us, so we don't want others to hurt us. So we make sure that sometimes there's just walls there, but sometimes we're aggressive towards other people. And we do that because we just don't want to be hurt anymore. And so in the process of not wanting to be hurt, unfortunately, much more hurt comes to them or to us when we're in that world, because we now surround ourselves with negative images, negative thoughts, negative ideas, which accumulate into more pain. So that's a very difficult way to lead life, and often people get into addictions as a way not to feel the pain, but pain leads to more pain. And their lives are analogous to like living in a very dangerous neighborhood where it's not very safe and the homes are, just very not well taken care of because the person is in pain. The next way to live life is positively. In this situation, you're very goal-oriented, you're looking towards improving your life, you want to be around positive people that love you and care for you, and you reach out in others in a loving and caring way. And because of that, there's a lot of growth, there's a lot of happiness there, there's a lot of just overall life keeps getting better. And it's a really wonderful way to live. And their lives could be analogous to a beautiful home in a beautiful neighborhood, and things are safe, and all around you everyone cares for each other. It's a very happy place. But there actually is a third way to live, and that's in a way in which you live silently. And what I mean is, you are just living in the present moment, here and now, not giving good or bad critique to anything, but just being present with what is, why it's happening, not planning, not being fearful, not trying to change things, even though there is change. But it's far more a sense of just flowing with life, loving life, accepting life, and living present with life. And that is obviously one I want to recommend for all of us to do, because so often, even when we do the positive, it's so goal-oriented that you're really missing out on a lot of here and now. I mean, yes, you achieve things, and yes, you have beautiful people in your life, but you often miss out on right here, right now. And I use the analogy of the house as, in this situation, your home is the entire planet Earth. Peace.
Our first question this week is from Paul in Boston, Massachusetts. My wife is obsessed with cleaning the house. She literally cleans 4 to 5 hours every day, and it is taking a toll on our family and on her mental and physical health. What should I do?
Paul, I like the way you posited the question, because it sounds like you care about your family, but you also care about her. You're concerned about her mental and physical health, because that's important, because something is wrong. Something is driving your wife to clean all the time. That's a lot of cleaning. That's far too much cleaning. So something is inside of her causing her pain. And if you approach her in a loving, kind way, she's going to be a lot more open to explore that than if you attack her or say what she's doing wrong. That just tends to make people put up walls and not look within. She's cleaning because she doesn't want to feel that pain. So you being her husband are going to know most likely what that pain is. It could be something recent that's happened or something in the past, but something is causing her to suffer. And instead of feeling that pain so she can get better, she's choosing to clean. And cleaning has become, in a sense, an addiction for her. It's a way for her not to feel her pain. So if you approach her in a loving way, maybe say, I can't necessarily solve this for you, but let's go get some help and find out what's going on, honey, because you really matter to me. And she may say, well, cleaning is important. And say, well, it may be, but let's get a third party involved because I really care about you. I think taking that approach, because clearly something is wrong, taking that approach is going to be the best way to get her to open up and make some changes in her life so everyone will benefit, but especially her. What are your thoughts?
I think you had some really good points about the fact that she most definitely somewhere in there is struggling, and this is a way of her dealing with that. And sometimes we look at these things and say, okay, that's a positive way for her to channel her frustration, sadness, anger, or whatever, instead of using another addiction. But I think everybody should pay attention here. No matter what we do, if we do too much of it, can be a problem. So cleaning may be a good outlet when you're upset, but if you start obsessively cleaning, it can become a definite problem. Another thing that I want to talk about for you to understand as her husband is that many times when we're struggling with stuff in our life that we have no control of, whether it's illness, whether it's a difficulty in a relationship with maybe you guys, or perhaps she's having difficulty somewhere else in her life, maybe you're having financial problems, whatever the issue is, there's not a whole lot we can control in life, really, when you think about it. And sometimes we have this false sense of control when we do things like this, and we have to have things in a particular way, in a particular order, and it kind of helps bring in her anxiety a lot. Although maybe it's really hard as family members because everything has to be perfect. But if you can kind of look at that from that perspective, it might be easier for you to understand and approach her and say, I love you, but we need to get help together for this because it is a problem.
It seems like we're on the same page as far as probably something is awry with her, but I think when you approach someone and there's a problem, I think it's important to say, how can I change myself? I mean, maybe she is having problems with Paul, and I think, wouldn't you be a lot more receptive to saying, if I said, hey honey, what do I need to do to change to improve our relationship, then you need to change? You know,
or maybe she also needs somebody to be sensitive to her and maybe listen to her about what's going on. And sometimes when we get so busy in our lives, we don't take the time we need to be intimate with our partner.
Yeah, and if it is Paul, then Paul, I mean, it can't be all her. I mean, not that I'm blaming Paul, but Paul should also say, what can I do to be a better husband, spouse to her? I mean, he may be messy, and that may be her response to that. He's so messy, I'll clean 4 or 5 hours to make up for that. Obviously there's more to it, but at the same time, can they work together as a team instead of all her problem?
So look at yourself, but also be gentle and loving with her. Thank you for your question.
Not feeling the way you want to feel, isolated, worried, frustrated, or is your child struggling? There are lots of labels. Our body is a system. It can affect our feelings. Sometimes you need a little help to understand what is happening, to make a plan for improvement, to take control of your body and mind. Insightful Minds, Psychiatry for Children, Adults, and Families. Call us for an appointment or go to insightfulminds.org.
Tranquility and peace. Find freedom and relaxation no matter where you are or who you're with. Be still, be free. Meditation for Health and Happiness, available at www.holistichealth.tv.
Today our guest is Lynne Mattallana. She is the founder and president of the National Fibromyalgia Association and the author of The Complete Idiot's Guide to Fibromyalgia, which is a very helpful book. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So can you tell us what exactly fibromyalgia is for those of us out there that might not know?
Well, fibromyalgia is a chronic pain illness. However, it's so much more than that. The reason why is because it affects many, many different aspects of your health. It can make you have overlapping conditions like irritable bowel, migraine headaches, restless legs, and it can also be very disturbing to your cognitive problems. It can give you sleep disturbances. So fibromyalgia mostly has been shown and been talked about as a pain condition, but we know that it's more, and it's important that people realize how absolutely life-altering fibromyalgia can be.
When you say that it's more than a pain condition, can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Because I think even from the stuff that I know you started talking about some of the cognitive stuff, but it is an umbrella of pain, but what more than that?
Well, the reason why it's more than pain is because most people feel fatigued. They feel pain, but they don't always feel pain. And they also have these sleep disturbances, which can cause them to not be able to function properly the next day. You can't think, you can't understand why you are feeling down and depressed and anxious.
It's like a cycle that happens almost, because when you don't get sleep, that affects everything.
Absolutely. And when they very first started to look at fibromyalgia from a scientific viewpoint, sleep was the first thing that they looked at. We did a study, and pain was actually the 4th symptom that was mentioned.
Wow, that's really remarkable, because I think when most people think of this, they really think about the pain stuff first. So can you share with us your journey on this and how you came to write the book and start this foundation or association?
Well, it's interesting because fibromyalgia is probably a genetic problem, and I know really thinking back years, I always had pain. I remember even at the age of 7 having pain and being told, pain is not something that's natural. You just need to ignore it. You need to move on. And so that's what I did all my life.
What kind of pains were you struggling with that you noticed?
Oh, just every type of pain, where you would lay in bed and you would ache, or you would feel like if somebody bumped into you on the playground, it really hurt, much more than what it should. And so you always felt like you weren't quite as normal as everybody else. And when people told you don't have pain, you felt like, well, I do have pain. What am I supposed to do about it? So that was always very difficult. And I became a dancer, and in dance, what a lot of the meditations and the things that you do, because you do have pain when you dance.
Yeah, that causes a lot. I mean, it's so hard on your body when you're doing that all day.
But I think part of the reason why I learned was because I was trying to get in touch with my body. I was trying to figure out what was going on.
To listen to it instead of just shut it out.
Exactly. And I also learned through that process, how to stretch and how to move. And we now know exercise is such an important part of fibromyalgia.
How does it help fibromyalgia?
Well, it's important because if you do not move, you are going to get stiffer. You're going to put yourself in a position where you can become more obese.
Because that would be easy to do if you're always in pain and you're feeling depressed.
Absolutely.
Curl into a little ball and just not move.
Exactly. And I think it's important that people know it's very isolating. And when you're isolated, you feel alone. You don't have any motivation to get up and move. And when you do that, you become stiffer and you become less physically involved in life. And it's important when you start to exercise, when you start to move, you start to feel like you're connected. When I very first became ill with the illness when I was in my 30s, and when I say
or that you
really
maybe became aware of it,
exactly,
I guess.
When I finally said there is something very wrong here, I started with having a yoga instructor come to my home twice a week. And what we started out doing was I laid on the floor and I just shut my eyes and I just would breathe and I would think about the fact that I could get better. And that was the very beginning. And it was.
And did that make a difference for you?
Oh, absolutely. Knowing that I could figure out a way, because my yoga instructor really truly believed that I could figure out a way to get better. And so she gave me hope. And hope is so important.
And don't you think with any illness, no matter what it is, when our head is involved and we're thinking about how much we're going to suffer. I actually have worked with somebody who struggled with pain a lot in her life. And oddly enough, when she's feeling good and her body's not hurting, she's actually suffering more because she's so worried about the future and about pain and about all that stuff.
That is one of the things that we hear from patients all the time, is that they're afraid of when the next big flare is going to hit them. And it's so discouraging when your friends ask you to do something and you can't. And so you feel like you aren't normal. You feel like you're letting people in your life down. And it's so hard when you don't know how this illness is going to affect you, if it's going to wax or wane, or if you're going to start feeling better for a while, and you have that fear. What is going to happen the next time it hits me and I'm back in bed?
So talk to us a little bit about this association that you've developed and kind of how people can connect with this and how it can benefit them to become part of that or learn more about it.
You know, I believe very strongly in how you can move your life and live beyond a chronic pain illness or any type of illness, and that is by finding purpose. And a purpose can be anything that is important. It can be something like just saying every day I'm going to get up and make sure that my kids know that I love them and I care about them. Or it could be something more important than whatever else you have done in the past, from you know, taking time to share with people and help people. And that's how I decided, why I decided I wanted to start the organization, was because I thought I wasn't doing anybody any good laying in bed for 2 years. And no one really understood this. And I thought I could take this message and let other people know what this feels like. What is this like?
And give them hope, because we so often talk about, and this is a case in point, that no matter how much you're suffering in your life, no matter what's going on, there's always beauty that you can find in life and hope that you can find. And it's when you block your mind and say that there's no hope and why even move or get out of bed, you lose, I mean, just your vitality and everything.
Absolutely. And when you focus on yourself and when you focus on pain, I remember laying in bed and looking at the clock and saying, okay, I can stand this pain for 10 minutes. I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to just not think about it. Well, I'd open my eyes and only a minute had gone by. But if I would close my eyes and I would think about something beautiful, or I would think about something important, or I would
focus on something other than the pain.
Exactly. Or I would think, I know how to talk to people in the media. I know how to do this. I can do something that will be helpful and different. So when I'd close my eyes, I would think, okay, how am I going to write a letter to the newspaper and say, there are a lot of people suffering with this? And that 10 minutes would go by so much more quickly.
Now, if people would like to get a copy of your book or find out more about the Fibromyalgia Association, which you also have this magazine that you put out, how can they get a hold of you?
It's very easy. Our website is www.fmaware.org.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your journey, your wisdom, and your hope with us.
Thank you for having me.
Are you frustrated at work, feeling overwhelmed and disconnected, losing all hope? What if you could see things differently? Learn how to shift your focus and see that the keys to success are truly in your hands. Learn how to work as a team again and love your job, ultimately finding the success you're looking for. Success beyond your imagination, available at www.holistichealth.tv. How to Live a Positive Life, available at www.holistichealth.tv.
Co-hosts of the Holistic Success Show, Dr. Puff and Elizabeth Lozano, MA, want to teach you how to live a meditative life. Learn to still your mind, diminish negative thinking, experience peace and bliss, and be 100% present in the moment. Retreats provide a unique opportunity to learn new skills, meet new people, and interact with Elizabeth Lozano and Dr. Puff. For information or reservations for upcoming retreats, please visit holisticretreats.tv. Expand your capacity for joyful living today.
If you're in a committed relationship right now, or plan to be, I want to talk about a gauge or barometer that can really be helpful to determining for yourself how well are we doing. One of them is sex. And I did say sex. What I mean by sex is, which you probably know, but what I mean by it is, how often are you being intimate with your partner? If you're being intimate on a regular basis and spending time together, then your relationship probably is going pretty well. It isn't that sex or being intimate causes your relationship to go well, but it's being intimate on a regular basis that indicates that things are going well. There's a slight difference there, but it's important. It isn't that sex makes your relationship going well, but it's telling you that if you are being sexual with your partner on a regular basis, that probably things are going well. So I remember once working with a couple, and they hadn't had sex, I think it was for 6 months, and clearly they weren't doing well. So it's just a really good sign of how are we doing. Be intimate with your partner, and if you're not, ask yourself why. Because probably something is awry and you need help. It's also, not that it guarantees it, but I think if you're being regular with your partner, it's very much less likely that later you're going to be interested in someone else. So spend time with your partner and be intimate. It's a great gauge and a good sign that things are well. The second thing is money. And it's not that you have enough money. It isn't that both of you have jobs, but it's how you're dealing with money together. If you're not arguing over money, if you're not fighting, constantly bickering back and forth about money, then again, probably things are going well. But the reverse is also true. If you're bickering, arguing a lot over money, then probably something is awry and your relationship needs help. So these two, sex, money, how are they going for you? If they're going well, then great. You probably are in a pretty healthy relationship that's going to maintain that way as long as those two things stay. I think too often we rest on, well, we used to be intimate, but now we had kids and we stopped. Be intimate. Make time for that. It's a high priority. And if they're not going well, if it's been a long time, or if you are constantly bickering over money, then you probably need some help. We have a book, Elizabeth and I, called Getting It Right, A Guide to Healthy Relationships. It would be really helpful for you. There's counseling, there's workshops you can go to. There's many things you can do. But start with, how are these two things going? How are they going? If they're going well, then you're probably in a pretty good relationship. If they're not, then get help, because any relationship can be improved. Peace.
Our second question this week is from Patrick in Portland, Oregon. I know meditation is good for calming your mind, but does it have other benefits as well?
Patrick, there are a plethora of benefits for meditation. Health benefits, like you said, calming the mind, being present. There are so many different ways that meditation helps, so I could go on and on. But the one way I like that meditation helps me the most is by learning how to be here now, living in the present moment throughout my day. I get to practice that when I meditate. I get to just be with my breath and calm the mind. But what it allows me to do all day long is saying, hey, what's ever happening right now is good. Be with that. Don't worry about the future. Don't worry about the past. Just be with it. Like right now I'm with you, Patrick. When I leave, I'll go home and be with my family. Whatever you're doing, be with that. We so often bounce between fears and desires, future and past. What meditation does is meditation teaches you to be here, right now, throughout your day. So you don't want to just meditate. You want to really create a present meditative life where you're truly living 100% present with what is, so that as you go through your life, you're not missing out on it. Because so many people miss out on the world and on their life because they're not being a human being, they're being a human doing. What are your thoughts?
I agree with you that there are so many benefits to meditation, and I know it seems kind of hard when you try to conceptualize it. How can me sitting there trying to calm my mind make all these changes in my life? But it's kind of like we've talked about before. Unless you actually taste chocolate, no matter how we explain it to you and describe it, it's never going to be the same unless you actually taste it. But some of the other benefits that I would like to talk about are decreased anxiety and stress. You'll be able to kind of, no matter what situation that you're in, you'll be able to find that all is well. No matter what's going on, I'm going to be okay. And it's interesting because when you start meditating more and more, you find yourself just being calmer, almost like you can feel your heart rate just lower and decrease, and you're okay. Another thing is more energy. I know this seems odd, and Dr. Puff has talked a lot about how he's had decreased need for sleep, but this is actually true. And the more I've incorporated meditation in my life, I find myself popping up like, okay, I'm ready to be up now, way earlier than I was before. It's quite amazing. So it gives you more energy, decreases your anxiety and stress, and the list goes on and on and on.
Another benefit I like to describe is the fuse part of it. We all have a fuse where we get upset, and a few people's fuse are very short. But what meditation does, it makes your fuse a lot longer, and so it's just much harder to get upset. Haven't you found that to be true?
Yeah, it's just, you just realize all is well, like I said, and you're able to realize and see the beauty in life that is all around you. We miss it all the time if we're so stuck in our head.
Yep.
And you know, it's like that movie Avatar that was out, and there's so much beauty there. We actually have that all around us all the time.
Yep.
Be present, be still, and you yourself will see the benefits of meditation. Thank you for your question. Are you or someone you love struggling with depression, anger, or anxiety? Have you suffered a loss, or are you struggling to keep your relationship alive? Do you have a child or a teen who needs help? You don't have to face it alone. We are here to help you create the change you need in your life to be happy again. Visit us at www.ocmentalhealthexperts.com for more information.
Co-hosts of the Holistic Success Show, Dr. Puff and Elizabeth Lozano, MA, want to teach you how to live a meditative life. Learn to still your mind, diminish negative thinking, experience peace and bliss, and be 100% present in the moment. Retreats provide a unique opportunity to learn new skills, meet new people, and interact with Elizabeth Lozano and Dr. Puff. For information or reservations for upcoming retreats, please visit holisticretreats.tv. Expand your capacity for joyful living today.
Our quote this week is by Mahatma Gandhi. The future will depend on what we do in the present. So tell me, what are you doing right now? Thank you for joining us on the Holistic Success Show. Please subscribe to our newsletter, and each week we'll send you information about our new episode and podcast, and we'll also send you a free copy of one of our ebooks.
And if you have a company or organization who would like to have Elizabeth and I come speak for you, please visit our website for more information.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you have a wonderful week.